Welcome everyone to the Clean Water Services Board of Directors business meeting for this day, Tuesday, April 14th. Clerk Hodges, could you do us the honors, please?
Certainly. The Board of Directors for Clean Water Services is meeting in this regular session on April 14th, 2026. Director Snyder?
Here.
Director Treese?
Here.
Director Fye?
Present.
Director Willie?
Here.
Chair Harrington?
Here. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public communication. This is an opportunity for members of our community to come address the board on any topic related to clean water services that you would like, limited to 3 minutes an individual, 15 minutes total. I would like to also mention that we are having a public hearing later on the agenda, so if you're here to speak to that item, please do wait until that public hearing. Okay, Clerk Hodges, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
Is there anyone in the room that would wish to provide public comment for up to 3 minutes on any clean water services related topic? Please raise your hand and come forward. I'm not seeing any. Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to provide public comment? We do have one. It'll be Deanna Johnson. Deanna, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Please go ahead.
Yes. So I've testified many times in reference to the low income assistance that I have been kind of advocating for the last 2 years. I know that my testimony kind of goes in one ear and out the other, but I'm just kind of looking for some assistance in that aspect. I know that there was a rate increase meeting last month that I was trying to watch on YouTube a few seconds ago. But I know that they're developing some type of reserve policy. I would love to see some low income assistance added to that reserve policy, and not only just for clean water services, but all of these type of utility companies that are constantly like raising rates, the Tualatin Valley Water, et cetera, et cetera. But in reference to clean water services, I just wanted to advocate once again. I know the billing thing is kind of a mess, and I know that the suggestion was to maybe give some funds over to Community Action. They help customers in Washington County with, high costs of utility bills. But if a little bit of money could go over there to Community Action so they could allocate the money to households that are putting their utility bills on credit cards, that would be tremendous. And I thank you, and I heed my time.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Are there any others in Zoom that wish to provide any public comment on any clean water services matters? Please utilize the raise hand function. I'm not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Hodges. Next, we'll move on to board agenda item discussion. Are there any items on the agenda that commissioners have any questions about before we get to them? All righty. Next, we'll move on to today's consent agenda, which consists of 6 different items. We have 4 contracts and 2 sets of Board of Directors minutes. What are the wishes of the board regarding today's consent agenda?
Move to accept the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, everyone. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we'll move on to public hearings. And it's a really pleasurable one with regard to appointing a new general manager for Clean Water Services and authorizing the vice chair to enter into an employment agreement for the general manager position. I understand that we have Heather Gantz here from Raftellus, as well as on Zoom, we have Ms. Elizabeth Edwards. Do we have any sort of presentation or overview before we go to the public hearing?
Good morning, Chair Harrington and members of the Clean Water Services Board. We just have a few comments to make before we go into the public hearing. Is it all right if I begin?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, Clean Water Services Board of Directors. I am sorry I'm not able to be there in person, but appreciate the opportunity to provide these comments, brief comments virtually. over the course of the last year, this organization has been through a lot, and I'm really proud of how folks have continued to show up and step up to do good work for the district. And recently, we've hit some really big milestones, including completing all the actions as directed by this board in Resolution and Order 25-5 to bring more transparency and accountability into our policies and practices. Today is another major milestone for Clean Water Services, appointing a new general manager. We began this process in earnest last fall by developing the characteristics of our next leader with Michelle Rios and Blue Tiger Leadership. We then smartly hired Heather Gantz and Ref Tellis to help us run the recruitment. And Heather took Michelle's work and her interviews with you all and used it to craft the job description, the job brochure, and you all reviewed those materials on January 6th and held a public hearing at that point as well. You also discussed and refined the interview process on February 10th, and the posting went live on the 20th. So I'll let Heather share a little bit more about the process, but we had a very competitive pool of over 60 applicants. And I just want to say, employees have been watching this process all along the way. And at our 2-day final interview, many of them had the opportunity to meet Rahim. And since the announcement about today's public hearing went live, which was late last week, many employees have been coming up to me and just expressing their excitement about Rahim and what he could bring to Clean Water Services. So before I turn things over to Heather, I just want to thank the board for their clear direction and support through this recruitment. I want to thank Rick for his steady leadership, grace, and good humor over the last year. I'm really grateful to have gotten the opportunity to support him and learn from him during this time, and his support of this recruitment has been really phenomenal. I also want to thank Heather and Michelle Rios, Holly Dober, and so many dedicated CWS employees for their contributions to make this recruitment a success. And certainly last but not least, thank Rahim for his earnest interest and commitment to this next chapter with CWS. So with those brief comments, I'm going to pass the baton to Heather Gantz.
Elizabeth, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here today. I just wanted to highlight a few key numbers with regards to our recruitment, and then also echo my thanks to you all for this process. We had 66 applications for this position. I interviewed 14 candidates. We presented 10 to you in executive session for consideration. We interviewed 5 semifinalists and then had 3 finalists. We did have one withdraw from consideration, so we had 2 finalists that you, as well as staff, met in a wonderful 2-day process. We had a very strong applicant pool for this position, and that goes to all of the wonderful work that you've been doing over the past year, the wonderful work that the staff, Rick, and everyone else has done. So I just want to congratulate you on such a strong applicant pool that's led us to this point today. I, too, want to thank you for your leadership and partnership through this process. We would not be here without you and your partnership today. I also want to take a moment to recognize Elizabeth for her collaboration. I could not have done this without her. She's been a tremendous partner, along with many, many others from Clean Water Services. So yes, round of applause for Elizabeth. And then I'm just excited for Rahim's leadership as the next general manager for Clean Water Services, and looking forward to continuing to support not only as a Washington County resident, but in partnership with you all. Thank you, Elizabeth.
So just as a reminder, at this time, after the chance to hear from the public, we would ask the board to, the requested action is for the board to appoint Rahim to be the general manager of Clean Water Services effective May 28th, and authorize the vice chair to enter into the employment agreement with Rahim.
Yes, thank you. And without further ado, I would like to open this public hearing. Clerk Hodges, do we have anyone who wishes to testify?
There were no signups ahead of time. Is there anyone in the auditorium that wishes to speak on the staff report just presented? Please raise your hand, come forward. I'm not seeing any hands. Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to provide any comment on the staff report just presented? Please utilize the raise hand function. I'm not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
And with that, I will close today's public hearing and open the table to the Board of Directors for any questions or comments. Go ahead, Commissioner,
Chair.
Director Treese.
Thank you. I would just like to comment on the robust nature of this process and my very high comfort level with where we started and how we worked through this process. It's already been mentioned, you've outlined the different steps, but the engagement along the way from our employees, from staff, from our board, everybody really enhanced this process and makes me very confident as I vote today. So I just want to underscore that and thank Heather, thank Elizabeth, and as all the others were mentioned, this is really good work, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I want to acknowledge our teams. I could name lots of names here, but I do want to recognize the Clean Water Services team. Heather, your participation. Mr. Shanley, thank you for your steady leadership over the last number of months and helping us get through this process. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize our incoming general manager and thank him for being willing to engage and be thoughtful about doing the leadership, the tough leadership work in our community. And I have the utmost confidence, so thank you. And with that, I will end my comments.
Go ahead, Director Fye.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Heather, Elizabeth, and the team. Heather, you've been you have a good track record of bringing forward candidates that end up getting hired at the county. So I really appreciate your process and the robustness. I agree. You're really super comprehensive, and I was very proud to see the depth of the people, the experience that express interest to this position. So I want to take a moment and celebrate you and your good work and how thoughtful you are in your own process and, in your own way facilitating a just world out there. So I appreciate your process and your leadership, Heather, and we'll see, to be continued, I guess, right, for more to come. But in terms of this particular process, Elizabeth, you are very, I appreciate your leadership as well, and the education you've extended to me in terms of, what questions do you have, Nafisa, that I can answer for you, or educating me and bringing some of the learnings that you were having along the way with the employees, so that was really appreciative, and I respect that, and I appreciated you, Elizabeth. Rick, thank you for stepping into this leadership role, and Caroline, I think you all been a stellar leaders in Clean Water Services, so I appreciate you all doing this work. I think we've been flying the airplane while building it at the same time, and I think we made the right choice. Rahim, I wish your interview, even though it was an executive session, I wish everybody could see, because I was really inspired to hear your comments and your experience and your vision. More importantly, your vision for Clean Water Services was very inspiring, and I wish it wasn't an executive session, that it was really live, because I've also learned that the people that attended at the employee sessions felt that way about you, which means that, you were saying the same thing in every room, whether closed or open. So I really appreciate, and I look forward to implementing your vision together on this board, and look forward to your leadership. I think you'll provide a lot of healing for Clean Water Services and unity, and I think that's what it's needed. I always say that the operations side of Clean Water Services is intact, because there's a lot of experts who do this work in Clean Water Services. I think the healing, the unification, the leadership is missing, and I think you're going to provide that, and I look forward to your leadership, and I'm excited. I think we're turning a new page to clean water services, and I think we made the right choice for the ratepayers of Washington County. So welcome aboard, and yeah, let's get this train started. Commissioner Willie.
Yeah, I'd echo some of the same comments. I want to especially say thank you to Director Snyder and Director Treese for their work on this. They invested a lot of time in not only going through the resumes, but also once we had decided working on the contracts. So thank you two very much for your additional time that you put in on this. And again, like everybody said, Rick, we really appreciate you. Caroline, we've done a good job here, and we appreciate certainly your direction and your involvement in all of that. And Heather, of course, thank you very much for bringing the candidates to the table and certainly orchestrating all the process to involve the employees. I think that was a very important part of it. So good job, everybody. Thank you.
Yes, a lot of gratitude being expressed today, and I agree with it. Thank you very much to all. And I'm particularly proud of my 4 colleagues here on the dais. I think they handled the search process very well with a lot of integrity, involving the complete staff set of the organization. And thank you, Rev Tellus, for being a great partner with us through this whole process. It's been excellent. And just so my colleagues know, after we move forward with this action item, I will be inviting Rahim Harji as well as the city manager of Hillsborough, Robbie Hammond, up to the table for remarks as well. So at this juncture, I would like to ask for a motion to appoint Rahim Harji as the General Manager for Clean Water Services, effective Tuesday, May 28th, 2026, and authorize Vice Chair Jerry Willey to enter into an employment agreement with Mr. Harji.
I enthusiastically move that.
And I enthusiastically second that.
All those in favor of enthusiastically moving forward with this motion, please vote by raising your hand and saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously 5-0. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. And gentlemen, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, rest of the board. Didn't plan on being here to say anything, so this is going to be a little awkward. But first, thank you.
I hope you feel welcomed.
I do.
Good.
I do. First, thank you. Thank you for the trust and confidence to lead Clean Water Services. I just appreciate that, and I hope you'll see what I can do and build a stronger team and build off of the work Rick and the rest of the team have done. So I'm really looking forward to the challenge, and I can sit here and thank all the CWS staff who were part of the tour and part of the process, and I'll forget names, so I won't necessarily name everybody, but I do want to call out Heather, Heather Gans from Rev Tellus. The process was seamless. The work she did and partnering with Elizabeth as well was very seamless. The contract part was seamless as well. It was a pleasure to go through that experience. But the one person I did want to thank was Robbie. The reason why I'm sitting in front of you today is because of him. Robbie brought me here from Florida to be an assistant city manager at Hillsborough, moved me into a deputy role a couple of years later, and he's just had so much trust and confidence in my ability to do the work, and that's why I'm here. If it wasn't for Robbie, I wouldn't be sitting here. So I asked him to join me today just to thank him publicly. He promised he wouldn't yell or throw anything at the board. Robbie, thank you. I was talking to my wife before coming here about the whole process, and I was also joking with Robbie. I was going to ask my wife to come, but she would have wanted to bring our new puppy too, and that would have been a no-no. But Robbie's been through a lot of stuff with me personally as well, and has been a big support system for me, and I know he'll continue to be that. So I just wanted to just acknowledge him as well. So, and thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond?
I'll be very brief. Yeah, Raheem asked me to come, and I'm here to show support for him. As you all know, he is amazing. I knew the day would come where we would lose him, and that would be devastating for the city of Hillsborough, but I'm also very grateful that he's local, that he's now going to be with a critical partner like Clean Water Services that we do so much good work with. So you will all continue to see the impact that Raheem has. He's amazing. He's well-loved in Hillsborough, and he will be well-loved in Clean Water Services. So congratulations on a wonderful hire.
Thank you. And I do want to compliment you, Mr. Hammond, because yes, it is hard to lose a really stellar employee, but as you say, it's great to have him here locally, but it's also a really tremendous sign of your leadership that you cultivate your employees, your staff's career paths, and continue to help shepherd them through career opportunities. That is a sign of a true leader. So thank you very much for that excellence. Well, thank you. We very much look forward to your starting and are very appreciative of the work that Mr. Shanley has done, and he has let us know from day one that he is committed to support the process for whoever the board hires as the next general manager. And we wish him well as well through his next chapter in his life journeys too. So thank you very much for joining us today. Any last remarks, board members?
I'd like to thank, again, Raheem, congratulations. This is great. And Robbie, thank you for your grace. I really appreciate it.
Chair, do we do a picture to memorialize this for
Oh,
posterity?
that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
We're skewing far this way. Reshuffle a little bit. Okay, can I get I'm gonna move the chairs really quick. I'll get those in there. Alright, look at that. Beautiful. I got a few. Next group, please. Yes, I'm ready. I can get. Go. No, I hope she forgives me.
But wait, there's more. We do have some more business on the agenda for today. We have two more items on our action item. The first is to adopt the Clean Water Services Budget Contingency and Reserve Policy. Rick, would you like to kick this off and then turn it over to Ms. Leader?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd be happy to. I think this is really important to bring this forward to the board. It's critical in how we set our rates. We have adjusted our methodology, which is what we're talking about today, not the actual rates. That, of course, happens further down the road. But I want to thank Kathy and the team for doing a lot of work in how we're looking at methodology, making sure each program is appropriately being allocated. As well as the reserve policy, which we've changed and I think really reflects the importance of reserves, but also balancing that with right-sizing that target. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kathy.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. I'm Kathy Leader, Chief Financial Officer for Clean Water Services. And we have 2 action items before the board today. One is the adoption of the cost of service allocation methodology, and the second is an adoption of a budget contingency and reserve policy. And just to reiterate, today's action does not set rates for the next 5 years for the district. It just adopts these 2 different methodologies and policies for the district. Things that will drive rates in the future relate to utilizing this tool as a platform that then looks at our actual operating and material and services, and then also our CIP and how we deliver on those. And those will impact then the rates that we bring forward every year to the board to adopt. And that actual board action on rates for 2027 is in June in the direction of the board. So today's presentation, first I'm going to give an introduction to the cost of service study and the basis of this cost allocation methodology, an overview of those allocation methodology itself, how we utilize this plan to set reserve targets, and then also an overview of the budget and contingency reserve policy itself that you will also be doing a separate action on today. So there were 3 main objectives of the cost of service study. First and foremost was to review our cost allocations between our 2 utilities, our sanitary sewer and our stormwater, but also to look at our regional and our local programs to make sure that each utility and program was covering its costs. Based on that information, we then developed a 10-year financial plan that is set to cover operating debt and capital needs within each of those areas, correct any local service area funding deficits that are there, and ensure that Clean Water Services has the reserves it needs to operate efficiently into the future. And finally, that third piece was utilizing that plan to develop rates and look at bill impact. So the district does charge varying rates throughout the region. This map here shows you overall the boundaries of Washington County, but within there, when you look at the blue area, these are cities that bill just our regional rate, and we provide the regional service to them. They have their own local programs related to sanitary and storm that they bill their own rate. And those are cities such as Forest Grove, Cornelius, Hillsborough, Beaverton, Tigard, Tualatin, and Sherwood. Clean Water Services has some customers in the region, and that's the brown shaded areas, the urban unincorporated Washington County and cities of Gaston, Banks, North Plains, King City, and Durham, that we do both the regional and the local program for them. And we do some services in the areas of Portland, Lake Oswego, but they do their billing directly for their customers in that area. And what's important about that is defining then those regional and those local services. So for regional services, these are provided for all of our customers, and they relate to that construction, operating, maintaining of treatment plants, sewage pump stations, pressure lines, and lines over 24 inches and larger. It also relates to the compliance reporting required by the district and oversight for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System (NPEDS) permit, including the Municipal Separable Storm Sewer System (MS4s). We also, in the regional program, maintain minimum stream flows throughout the Tualatin River, and surface area restoration and enhancing stream corridors within the region. On the local program, these are the services provided by Clean Water Services to our direct bill customers, and it really relates to on the storm side and sewer side of design, build, maintaining, repairing sewer lines 21 inches and larger. And that includes cleaning and inspecting of lines. And on the storm side, design, build, and maintaining storm facility infrastructure, and it includes our street sweeping program, maintaining water quality facilities, and cleaning catch basins, water quality manholes. So the district did a comprehensive review of our cost allocations, and on the operating side, we conducted interviews with each of the departments and programs, and we identified in those programs how we could allocate costs across the utilities themselves and regional, local. And on the operating and maintenance side, we looked at, for instance, on the field crew side, project time tracking of projects that they do that impact each of the utilities and regional, local. On the lab side, lab testing, and for instance, on the stream miles for the natural systems program. So we found methodology, a basis of methodology to allocate equitably amongst the programs. And that is, the result of that is in your packet. It's a document that does titled the fiscal year 26-27 cost allocation methodology. And in there, it gives you a lot of detail behind each of the programs and how we did that allocation basis for them. So that's on the operating and maintenance side of it. For the capital programs, we look at our 5-year capital program and identify projects assigned to the two utilities and regional, local, and that was the basis of allocating capital costs. And for debt service, we looked at the current issued bonds and what infrastructure they funded, and that was the basis of whether they were what utility related to in regional versus local. This is a very busy slide, but really what we're showing here is this was the results of updating the cost of service allocation study for the 25-26 budget. And the main things I wanted to show on there were on the top table for allocation percentages there in the center. This was the final result of that study, showing that of the $139 million in operating costs and capital costs, 83% were allocated to sewer, and 17% were allocated to stormwater. And within that, then, the breakdown between regional and local was 78% regional, 22% local. So our sanitary sewer is our larger program, and our regional program is also our larger component of the district still. And the second table down below that just refines down for those two utilities their regional and local components. So for the sewer allocation, regional is at 85% and local is at 15%. So still a significant portion related to regional. And on the stormwater side, 44% regional, 56% local. So there was a move over to some more of the local program as part of that analysis. So when we established our rates back in 2008, it was also based on an allocation of costs between the two utilities and regional versus local, and it was based on service delivery at that point in time. Going forward, those percentage allocations were continuing, and we did the same rate increase on each of those components over that time period. With this new allocation methodology, we updated the study based on now what service delivery looks like between the two utilities, regional and local, and now we set the rates differently based on their coverage of costs. So this is showing you here that for sanitary sewer, on the regional program, we're showing a 4% increase on the regional services over that 5-year period. And as an example, that has a $1.86 impact in the 2027 year on an average monthly bill for a customer. But then on the local program, as we mentioned, it was not covering its costs, so there was an adjustment on the local program of 21%, showing in the first handful of years, with a hopefully leveling out and covering costs in that deficit in outer years. But the impact on that rate in 2027 is $1.89 as a reference point for that percentage. Similarly, on the stormwater program, very, very similar situation. And right now we're showing in our current day financial forecast a 4% increase on the regional side over that period of time, and a 5% on the local program over that period of time. So once again, the new methodology is really identifying the cost of service on the regional and local programs and adjusting the rates accordingly. So the future use of this allocation methodology. So we're going to review and update our allocations more regularly on a 3 to 5 year basis now, not waiting so far out. And then also, if there are any changes in regulatory or programmatic, that we would reevaluate the allocations on an annual basis. We're going to use the actuals and projected out numbers to help develop annually our 10-year financial plan. All part of the budget process and our future rate development. So these would be reviewed annually and brought to the board for review and adoption. So a key component of identifying your financial plan and your rates is identifying appropriate reserves. The reserves allow Clean Water Services to function smoothly throughout the year, meet unexpected revenue shortfalls or expenses, minimize debt financing over time, and improve its credit worthiness. Reserves are unique to the district because of our highly regulated environment we operate in, and also the significant capital investment we do in infrastructure in the region. They all tie into target reserves. So elements of the policy before that you're adopting, one is setting those targets, like we said, based on the uniqueness of Clean Water Services risk environment that it operates in. That was reflective in those reserves we propose. Also in there, we set some financial benchmarks based on the Standard & Poor's utility rate modeling, and that is in line with a AAA rating, which we currently hold, and maintaining that credit rating for if there was future debt issuance and getting lower interest rates on that debt. Also in the policy, it sets future actions within this policy. This policy is, it's considered annually as part of the budget process, long-term planning, rate planning for the district. In the policy, we set actions to be taken if reserve balances go below target levels, and you see that currently in the plan that we have outstanding, that it looks like we will go below targets, and how we would correct that over that 5 to 10 year period. It also talks about how we would use any reserves, excess reserves over the target. And it really wouldn't be related to daily operating. It would be related to like one-time liabilities, say for instance, like the pension PERS liability, or one-time liabilities, any sort of capital project that then would reduce any debt we might issue on it, and then, or any unexpected one-time expenditures. And finally, the board will periodically review the goals of and the purpose of the policy, and has the sole authority to amend or adopt a different policy. So the targets set inside the policy. On operating, we're utilizing 6 months of operating and maintenance costs. On the liability, so that's the risk liability, we've set that at the general liability deductible, insurance deductible, and a 10-year average claims cost for that fund. Capital replacement relates to the replacement and renewal of existing infrastructure, and it's based on our annual depreciation expense by utility. So capital system development charges, this is a restricted fund. It's system development charges that we collect for capacity enhancing projects or debt reimbursement. And that is set at, normally we try to have 1 year of collected revenue that's utilized then in that next budget cycle. But it is whatever the current balance is. That relates to SDCs collected and the use of them. The local improvement districts, very similar to the SDCs in that we usually have the 1 year of the project plan in the next year, but it resides at the balance that is in that fund. For revenue bonds, as a requirement under our debt covenants, we set that our annual debt service payments, the minimum annual debt service payment as the reserve amount. And for our construction fund, so this is a new construction within the district, we are putting that at our average annual capital improvement program spend, and it really reflects that balance of delivering capital and also rate stability within the district too. It kind of handles both of those components for the district. And then finally, contingency, that's the amount we set each year as a monies available for unanticipated expenditures during the budget process. It was adopted through that budget process. Just to give some numbers behind what that figure means. So the target currently, based on these target levels, is set at $314,700,000. And this, just for awareness, our current reserves are at $460 million at the end of 2025, and part of our plan shows us spending down roughly $120 million in the next 5 years of those reserves that get us slightly below this target, and how we would move back up from that. And with that, that completes my report, staff report, and any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Kathy. I just want to ensure that everyone knows that we had a very thorough work session with Kathy and the consultant team that worked on the study as well. So we asked lots of questions during that work session, which is completely available online as well. But at this juncture, I'd like to check in with my colleagues on the Board of Directors and see if anyone has any questions. Director Treese.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this good work. Thank you for the presentations that we've received that the Chair referenced. In reflection, the one piece that I would like to propose that we add to this is that the review process, it currently says that we can go earlier than 3 years, and that it would be 3 to 5 years. I would like, and I propose that it is no longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
So that there's just an underscore there, because the situation that we're in is because we went past any accepted guidelines. I would like to reinforce that by including no longer than 5 years.
So that sounds like a friendly amendment to the policy, but so when we
Thank you.
make the motion, we will be sure to underscore that change. Director Snyder.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. One is that I'm glad that we're publicly stating and putting in policy that there's going to be ongoing regular review and having that set up in a systematic way. I'm supportive of the language that Commissioner Treese, Director Treese suggested. The other thing I want to point out and make clear in the public, because I've seen what I would call a fair amount of either misinformation or disinformation about the percent increases in the local cost for services, particularly in sewer. I want to make sure the public understands that failing to make those adjustments means that other customers are subsidizing that, essentially. And that's been inequitable and not appropriate probably for an extended period of time, and it's now being sort of identified and corrected. Should have been done, I would argue, probably a long time ago, certainly not since 2008, right? Nearly 20 years, but that methodology is what drives the local versus regional allocation. And so I just want to make it clear to the public that while there are, it may be small dollar amount, but larger percent increases in the local cost of some of these services, that failing to do that means that other people are literally paying for other individual services and they're not bearing their own costs. And I think that's an important consideration. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to follow along with that, Director Snyder, it is really important that we do this, especially at this point in time when we're talking about, as your graph showed, a continuous rate increase over the next X number of years. And it's also, to me, when you first look at it and it says a 21% increase and you go, yikes, that's a lot. Then you say it's $1.89. So I did the math. We're going from $9 to $10.89. So in that particular case, percentages really don't tell the story. And I'd much prefer us to maybe demonstrate that in a little bit different way. I realize we're going to move ahead with this, and I don't know if this presentation will ever see the daylight again, but going into the future, I think it's important that we carefully check using percentages versus values, and so I'd much rather see that. But other than that, this is very important, as Director Snyder pointed out. It's very important that we be able to communicate to our regional partners what the cost of service is, and to our local partners, and the same thing. And so, good job on this. Thank you very much.
Kathy, good job. Thank you for the briefing you and Elizabeth had with me on this topic. And, I celebrate where we are. It's better late than never, right? So there's more to come in clean water services, but I'm celebrating this point, and I think I appreciate the foresight into it. I sort of juxtaposed this policy to the counties to try to figure out what are the flexibilities that is built into it, and I appreciate the mirror image cut and paste kind of, not word by word, but I appreciate the mirroring what exists in Washington County to sort of create this here too. And I say that because as we go into rate increases, we need that flexibility to tap into all kinds of resources that we have to mitigate the trepidations that exist around affordability in the community. So I appreciate this, and yeah, I'm in support.
I will close to ensure that there is an effort to make sure that there is a complete picture of information, not on the specific reserves and rate setting, but what it took to get to this point. It took a lot of board persistence over 5 years to work with executive management to get the additional resources in place to get this study done, and to then have it executed, implemented, and available for board review. We didn't just wake up and say that, oh, well, it's been since 2008, so we should relook at the methodology. We didn't just wake up one day and go, oh, affordability is a problem in our region, let's take a look. I know over 5 years ago that I had a conversation with our chief executive about how we were doing in this area. There were additional employees who were hired that for all kinds of reasons were out on leave, and we got a first version of that went to a board all-day work session where we went over it. And it took a lot of due diligence and persistence to get this project complete. Our current staff team is to be acknowledged and thanked for performing the due diligence and making sure that there is a policy and a procedure that will be followed, not just written but not followed, to make sure that we as an agency are judicious in this matter. I have complete confidence in our full staff team to make this happen for the benefit of our ratepayers, whether they be regional or local. So, and no matter who sits on the board. So thank you very much for the work. And at this juncture, there will be two different topics where we have motions and a vote. So the first is to adopt the Clean Water Services Budget Contingency and Reserve Policy via the resolution and order that is attached. Is there such a motion?
I move for approval.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. And that included the change to the reserve policy. Instead of updating it every 3 to 5 years.
That's the cost allocation.
Oh, right. Sorry. I wrote it down in the wrong place on the same sheet of paper. So on the cost of service allocation methodology in the policy there, it has language about updating every 3 to 5 years, but we've made a slight modification. So it says update every 3 to 5 years and no more than every 5 years. Is there a motion to adopt the cost allocation methodology?
Move to accept the cost allocation policy as amended.
As amended. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously 5-0. Very good, staff. All right. Major work done. Okay, next we have director announcements. I will kick it off. On Tuesday, April 28th, we will have a Clean Water Services Board of Directors work session, and immediately following that will be the County Board of Commissioners work session. That will be in the afternoon. The Clean Water Services Board of Directors meeting will occur at 5:30 p.m. in that evening, right here, same place, followed by the Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting at 6:30. Then we're into the month of May, and I would like to ensure that everyone is welcome to our Clean Water Services Budget Committee meeting on Friday, May 8th, not Tuesday. Starts at 9 a.m. There are really excellent presentations as part of that, so whether you're in person or you watch on Zoom, we do hope that you'll join us. Then on Tuesday, May 12th, we have a Clean Water Services Board of Directors meeting starting at 9, just like today, and then immediately following that, we'll go into Clean Water Services Board of Directors work session. Then rounding out the remainder of the month of May, on Tuesday, May 26th, we'll have a business meeting of the Board of Directors at 5:30 p.m. that evening. Are there any other director announcements for today? All right. Thank you, everyone. Do we have a motion to adjourn today's Clean Water Services Board of Directors meeting?
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries. We're hereby adjourned. And in 10 minutes, we'll start the work session at 10 o'clock. Brett, who does the board?